Chuck's next book, Tell All, can I tell them this?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of like a Douglas Sirk movie, like a Hollywood 1940s big melodrama with, All About Eve with a Thelma Ritter character and some of the best Lillian Hellman jokes that have ever been told, really. And where does your invention come from? Where did these ideas come from?
Okay, hideous name-dropping moment. Last year when I was in New York and we were doing all this sort of pre-promotion for the Choke movie, I got to hang out a lot with Sam Rockwell. And he's just such a funny guy. And at one point he was talking about the movies he had made recently and the movies he was going off to make. And he was talking about having made the Jesse James movie with Brad Pitt. And he ended up saying Brad Pitt like 3 times in 2 minutes. And he stopped himself and he goes, listen to me. It sounds like I've got some kind of name-dropping form of Tourette syndrome. Brad Pitt, blah, 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 Brad Pitt, blah, 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 Brad Pitt. And that sounded hilarious. And I thought, what a concept, because so often you just, as people talk, all you hear are the proper nouns and what they say. And it's just, verb, noun, article, adjective, Julia Roberts. And there's a quality to those proper noun celebrity names that when they're on television, it's just blah, 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 Colin Farrell. Blah, 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 celebrity name. And they do have a quality like a macro or like an animal's sound, the sound of an animal would make. And in that same way, when they're in celebrity sort of name-dropping columns, they're always the sort of bold-faced name that just jumps off the page. And you go right to Lindsay Lohan, Hannah Montana, which I thought was a city. And when Sam said that thing about name-dropping Tourette's, I thought, wouldn't it be great to write an entire novel that is just hyper-saturated in celebrity names and have them all bold-faced and kind of write them in the form of a Winchell column or a Hedda Hopper column, that kind of celebrity name-dropping gossip column that we're all kind of familiar with. So the idea is to take something that we have a cultural precedent for. We all kind of know this George Orwell, running dogs of capitalist language, this fascist totalitarian propaganda language. And we know it well enough that we can start to use it for other purposes. So you take something in which there's already a cultural precedent, like precedent law established, and you use it for just a slightly different purpose. Can I tell an example?
Go ahead. Your show.
Somebody gave me a deck of ghost story cards. They're like cards that you give out at a party and people tell these campfire stories. And they all kind of follow this ancient form of first you have the past, first you have the present. There's a young couple and they really want to buy their first house, and they want to buy a house in Beverly Hills with a pool and grounds and gates, and they can't afford very much, and they look at a lot of houses they can't afford. So you establish the present, and then you establish the past, and they find this one house. It's incredibly beautiful. And they go to their realtor and they say, why is this house? This house is way below market. We can actually afford this. And the realtor says, don't buy that house, because a horrible, horrible tragedy happened there. The second act is always the past. The realtor says, many, many, many years ago, the most beautiful, brilliant, profound, most talented, most beloved actor of all times lived in that house. And her name was Jennifer Lopez. And see, at that point, we've taken cultural precedent. We all know how this story goes. Establish the past, establish the present, establish the past, and then bring them into conflict. And the past is, and this Jennifer Lopez, she was a goddess until she got a tainted collagen injection in her ass and died screaming. And no one has been able to live in this house since then. Don't buy this house. But they buy the house. And their first night in the house, they hear this voice way off in the distance. And they get up in the middle of the night, and the voice says, "Where is my Academy Award?" So see, what you're doing is you're just taking an established formula that we all know. The newsreel that a million, billion people have seen. We take that premise and we turn it into Citizen Kane. And that's all I'm kind of doing is taking nonfiction established forms and using them to tell fiction. Where is my Academy Award? Where is my National Book Award? Anyway.